So a few years back, I found my courage and I kicked off the gumboots and flung open our farm gates and I entered a new arena. And because of this, I'm the current winner for AgriFuture's Rural Women's Award for Tasmania, and I'd love to share a little bit of my personal experience over the last 12 months, along with some background references to who I am and what I've been up to for the last 23 years. So I'm a local circular head Tasmania girl, born far northwest coast in the rural region. I finished school at the age of 15. I started hairdressing straight at 15. I was a mum at 19 and then met my husband and moved to the hills next door. So this young mum now had both a hairdressing apron and a milking apron. Richard and I began share farming his parents' farm in 2001 when his mum was diagnosed with MS. So our plans were fast-tracked, and this town girl employee became a businesswoman overnight. We officially became third-generation family farmers when we purchased his parents' farm in 2004, just when we were married, and it's been a continual growth phase ever since. So I wasn't born a dairy farmer, but I do have family on farms. And I didn't realise at the time, but you marry the farmer, you marry the land. You also married this sentence that seems to be a universal bloody language along farmers, and that is next week when things slow down. And you're going to hear this over and over again for the rest of your married life, and that's not in the contract. So it was a deep end dive. There was no mentoring. It was a sudden changeover. The mentoring that I had was a conservative accountant mate, and I'm sure he was trying not to judge this fast growth plan that was in action. I was suddenly learning all about admin and payroll and industry standards while raising 3 daughters. I was filling in on these milking rosters, helping with the calves, and just generally juggling things and winging it at once. Richard and I grew cattle numbers to build equity. So we leased dairy farms across the regions and we grew potatoes and poppies. We started a gravel and contracting business. Just whatever we could see as an opportunity and a potential to get ourselves ahead in the partnership structure that we were in. So I'll be honest, all of the hats at points were a lot for me. And I had a bit of what I call the martyr mindset, where I was putting others before myself. And I think that this is something, it comes from 2 perspectives. It's the young person transitioning into adulthood. I mean, seriously, for me, I had just come from being parented, and here I was parenting. Plus the other side to that was I have quite a maternal mother archetype personality where you serve others before self. And I think this is something that happens for a lot of mums along the way, where there's a long life stage of others' needs and requirements before yourself to meet. So I think that becomes a bit of an ingrained habit. I think I was also burning out trying to keep up with the process and the flow of a busy man's mind. I always felt like a sweepwriter rather than doing things that felt fulfilling to me. And yes, I understand that you have to do what you have to do. And I'm sure that there were times for my husband, Richard, where he wasn't loving the journey either. But it took years for me to realise that how I was an individual and my own personal values played a huge part in what living purposefully should have meant to me. And I think that comes from learning to have the hard conversations together, plus the maturity. But when a man is so busy doing their daily duties and serving their family in the way that they know how, it is easy to forget about what might be going on in the background, back home for the wife and the mums. And at times, as we women, I'm sure that we do the same thing to the blokes too. So we fall into this comparison trap of tit for tat, and it's really frustrating. The mindfulness or the consideration of each individual doesn't come until later, or even a few rocky parts to the relationship. And I think you've really got to consider early on playing to your strengths as you, the individual, in a scenario like this. that is just both a marriage and both a business relationship. It's not just playing for the sake of what you think that others are expecting of you, and that's what I do. Even well before farming, I was doing it through hairdressing, and that too is most likely that immaturity and the martyr mindset. So I'd like to hear from other women who've experienced a similar journey and who might be stuck in this mindset. There'll be more chapters to my life story and experiences, so be sure to stay tuned.